Well, hello everybody, I'm Ian Sweet and welcome to Europe's biggest triathlon, at least in numbers and spectators. We're at the beautiful town of Roth down in Bavaria in southern Germany, and we've come here for the second half of Triathlon Professional Tour's Triathlon Spectacular Weekend. We've come for Ironman Europe. The day before we were at Mountain Man in Seefeld for the short distance professional championships when Simon Lessing of Great Britain and McKeely Jones of Australia won. But today we moved on to the long distance championships. Last year we were in Hawaii, but this year we're in Europe. We're at the biggest, the best event in Europe, Ironman Europe. It's had 2,000 competitors. We estimate 130,000 spectators, as for once we have a fantastic day. The weather forecast for the day is superb, but the night before, well, someone's got to look after all of these bikes in the bike park. You'd imagine 2,000 bikes. There's a lot of dollars at stake. Putting this in pounds, it's something like £3.5 million worth of machines in there. And for several years, and in fact since the day one, a man called Carl Schmoll, here he is going around, he stays up all night looking after these bikes. He's been in charge of this bike park, and it's his responsibility that when they start the following morning, there are still 2,000 bikes for the 2,000 competitors. We can look through number one. The number one is the defending champion. That is Jürgen Zach, the German. And I suppose we must be asking ourselves whether the German run in Ironmans this year can continue. More of that later, but they've just about dominated the series. Number two, Peter Kropko.
My dream is to win tomorrow. I did have a lot of second and third place, and to have a world record. It doesn't matter if it's warm or it's painful, I want to do it.
And the first non-American to win that infamous Hawaii Ironman, the Australian Greg Welch.
It's a good day. I think the 8 hours will be broken here in Roth, and there's several people who can do that now. Many Germans and myself, maybe Bustos, Kropko, so it is a good chance that 8 hours will go tomorrow.
And it's good to see the return of Kristin Bustos.
I have a very big accidents and everything's going to be recovered to racing again. And now I am here, almost ready to racing, and one of the biggest racing in the world. So that is when my dream is racing now.
It's good to see Bustos returning. He won this event back in '93, and he's just told us he had a very bad accident a year or so ago. Stefan Holzer, well, he started the row for the Germans this year in Ironman New Zealand. And he said he really wanted to lead this event, as he did in New Zealand. Thomas Hellrig, who recently won Ironman Lanzarote, and he said he hopes he doesn't fall back after the swim, and he's looking for a strong bike, and finally he hopes that everything happens on the run. Ute Muckel, one of the favourites in the women's division, at least in the swimming, and she says that she knows she's going to be up there out of the swim, but she wants to show the world that she's also a great biker and runner. Katinka Wiltenberg, like Bustos, she won this event back in '93. Second to Newbie Fraser this year.
My dream is to win again in Roth. I won again here in Roth, and I would like to do it again in front of all the nice people over here, nice family I stay with.
American Sue Latshaw, she's got number 52.
This course is one where I can go under 9 hours, and if the heat doesn't affect me too much, I want to break that personal barrier for myself, and I'd like to be able to race Paula.
Well, this is Paula. Where's number 51? Paula Newby Fraser, the best ever woman endurance triathlete. She's won this event a couple of times, back in '92 and '94.
Hill, and I can see all these faces, and everybody's screaming. And then right out of the middle, I can see my father. And it's so surprising to me to see my father standing there on the hill out of so many thousands of people. And I'm really excited because he hasn't been to see me race in so many years.
Well, I don't think he's here this year, but he certainly was last year. And of course, it's also about age groupers. This is a 63-year-old, and he tells us that his dream is not to win here, but to finish. And in his case, 14 hours. Karl Schmoll, well, he's also got a dream, and he says he's been looking after these bikes since 1984, and one thing he'd love to do is to ride one. So his dream, he said one day it might come true, who knows. But next morning, everything is prepared. As with all Ironman, it's an early morning start. In this case, it's a 7 o'clock start, but of course the light comes up here at about 5 o'clock in the morning, so everyone is mingling around, waiting for this Quella Ironman Europe. And what a race it promises to be. We've been looking to get under 8 hours, and indeed, Hawaii Ironman this year has a $100,000 bonus if anyone gets under 8 hours. And see, these are some of the guys who could. That's Greg Welsh. We had a quick glimpse of Jürgen Zach. Lothar Leder, one of the new breed of Americans. Ray Brown in here talking to Paula Newby-Fraser. It looks like Heike Feikmeier, who won the swim last year. This is Juliana Nievergelt, the American. And of course Katinka Wiltenberg, whose hopes, I suppose, of the Europeans rest with on this race. She was second to Paula Newby-Fraser a month or so ago in Lanzarote when Paula Newby-Fraser won. And of course Thomas Hellriegel continued the run of the Germans. They've won in Australia, they've won in New Zealand, they won in Lanzarote. Holtzner won in New Zealand, Lawrence won in Australia, and of course Hellriegel in Lanzarote. In fact, Mark Allen, I suppose the most famous triathlete of all time, he's just broken the record a couple of weeks ago, or the run should I say. A couple of weeks ago he won the Ironman Japan when the Canadian Heather Furr won for the women. So the opening of all Ironman, that's a 3.8 kilometer or 2.4 mile swim, and this is the Rothsee course. Very simple. It's one circuit. In the past we used to be in the Donnermainz Rheiner Canal just across the road when it was an out and back. And that was a little unfair to some of the swimmers, especially if it's a little choppy with a wake of, you imagine, 1,500, 2,000 athletes going down. But first away, that's the professional wave, and all the women go with them in some of the elder gentlemen. So there we are, something like 400 or 500 people in this first wave to get the 1995 version of Ironman Europe here at Roth underway. What a sight. The mist, the early morning mist has just been burnt off by the sun, and it promises to be a real scorcher. Yesterday in Mountain Man, it was really hot. It was about 31, 32 degrees, and the racing was hot, so let's hope we've got the same here today. But this is the early swim leader. This is the German, Christoph van Ratsch. He's not known in triathlon circles, but he's certainly known in swimming circles. He is the national record holder for 25 kilometers, one of the long-distance swimmers, and he really is setting a cracking pace on this opening swim, and no one can really stay with him. This looks like the lead woman. It's Ute Muckel, and right at the back of her in the white cap is the Australian Greg Welsh. He's looking to go under 8 hours, as he told us here. Second group away. Well, there's 600 athletes in this. This is some of the age groupers. And bear in mind, this is not just a race for the professionals. It's also for the age groupers. There's 150 slots up for grabs for the forthcoming Hawaii Ironman. Takes place later this year on the 7th of October on the island of the big island of Hawaii, centered at Kona. And a lot of these athletes competing today are looking for those slots, looking through the list. Many of them have said, yep, I want to go to Hawaii. It still is the place where just about every triathlete wants to be, wants to compete in. And if you've never been there, it's certainly worth going, if only to watch. So it's still the German swimmer, Christoph van Ratsch, given number 50. I think he's a late entry into it. He's built up a mammoth lead, and I've got a feeling he's going to smash not only the Roth swim record, but also the all-time swim record for the Ironman distance. So it's Muckel still in second place. Welsh is there. We've got Peter Krotko's up there. Lothar Leder is in there. Alexei Priakin is also there, as is Vasilios Kromedas, a Greek who races for the local Roth club, one of the local favourites. But this is the second-placed woman in the green. This is Paula Newby-Fraser. She's quite a bit behind Muckel. Muckel is, well, she's really setting a good pace here. The best time for this course is 49 minutes and 11 seconds. That was done back in '92 by Ute Muckel. Last year it was Heike Feikmeier who was first woman out in, 50:25. The fastest time for the men, well, that's was set back in I think we've got to go back to 1990 when Wolfgang Dietrich went 45.11. I mean, we wish Wolfgang well. He's had a couple of serious operations on his knee. I met him before the race, and he was here doing some work for one of the radio stations, and it's good to see him back in form. He said he's just started to train again. He looks pretty fit, but he's not certainly race fit for this event. He would like to race in Hawaii later this year, but I'm not sure whether he'll be there. So it's still the German. It's still Vandrach, the national 25-kilometer long-distance swim specialist. And you can see there is no one in sight. His lead is, well, he must be nearly a kilometer in front of everyone. It's a tremendous swim by Vandrach, but of course we're all asking the question, can he bike, can he run? Because this is not a swim, this is the triathlon, the Ironman Europe. Swim, bike and run. Swim 3.8 kilometers, bike 112 miles and a marathon to finish. As they prepare themselves for that second discipline, the bike, we'll just watch a few of these pictures and we'll go for a break. Come back for the finish of the swim, the bike and the run of Ironman Europe.
The World Fencing Championships on Eurosport.
The 1995 Ironman Europe in Roth, Germany. The professional championships over the long distance. And leading the swim at the end of the 3.8 kilometer distance. He's been there throughout. It's Christoph Vandrach, the German national champion over 25 kilometers swimming, and he really has, looking back through, that's the 500-meter goat boy in the distance, and no one can be seen. This is an amazing swim by Vandrach. He's through the timing system, and they've given him 43 minutes and 2 seconds. The course record back in 1990 is 45 minutes and 11 seconds. That's over 2 minutes quicker, and this guy has blown everyone away. In fact, looking at my records, that is the fastest all-time 3.8 kilometer swim in any Ironman throughout the world. What a performance, any official Ironman that is. What a performance by Vandrach. And we've got to wait some time for the second and third athletes to come out. And the lead woman is with Greg Welsh. Uta Muckel and Greg Welsh, they're coming through the timing systems virtually together, and they've given them the same time, 47 minutes and 58 seconds. And in fact, Muckel smashed the woman's record here. She's 2 minutes quicker than her own record set back in 1992. 49.11 she went then, so that's a tremendous performance by the local favourite Uta Muckel. Now let's see if she can put the act together and do the same on the bike and the run. Lothar Leder, one of the favourite in the men's division, just gone through here. This is Lothar. He's out in fourth position, 48.16. In front of him was Welsh and Peter Kropko, the Hungarian, but Kropko's got tied up in the changing area. This looks like Vasilios Kromadas, the Greek, who now lives in Roth, races for Roth, and quite a popular gentleman he is here as well, as is this man, Peter Kropko. He always does the business here at Ironman Germany, Ironman Europe. So that's Kropko away, and this is the second place woman. It's Paula Newby-Fraser. She was second out of the water in 51 minutes and 2 seconds, nearly 4 minutes, 3.5 minutes behind Uta Muckel. That won't worry her though, because she's, well, she knows the race isn't over until it's over. Lothar Leder out, as is Jürgen Zach, just gone through the picture there. That's the defending champion. Christian Bustos. Well, that is an amazing swim by Bustos. This guy, after that road accident, is virtually swimming with one hand. So to swim that sort of distance in that time, and I can tell you his time, he had a tremendous swim. He was out in just over 50 minutes. That's a good performance by Bustos, out with Zach and the likes of all the others. But someone has got a bit of a disaster here. This is the Belgian Jean Moreau, and the day before he fell over on a stone and he was in hospital. His foot had to be dressed and treated with ice. They thought he was fit to go, but unfortunately during the swim section he was kicked by someone, and I don't know, we're going to see his ankle, but it's certainly swollen up like a balloon, just like one of those koala balloons in the distance there. This looks like Sue Latshaw. She's out of the water she's down in 5th position for the women. 54 minutes, 59 seconds she's been given. Here she is at the bike rack, trying to compose herself now for the second distance, the 112 miles, 180 kilometers of biking. 2-lap bike course here. It's a real roller coaster with 3 big climbs, and you'll see there are huge numbers of people out there. Tremendous support today on this beautiful day. This looks like the sister of Peter Kropko. Well, that's the first time I've seen her. It's interesting. Number 5, well, he's not competing. This is Olaf Sabaticius. He withdrew just before the start of the race. He's got flu and unfortunately couldn't compete. That's a shame because Sabaticius has shown some good form. Remember that race down in Powerman, the Powerman duathlon, the biggest and richest duathlon, when he was, what, 3rd? Unfortunately, he's not racing here today, but someone, well, this is the masses. Imagine 2,000 people. That's a lot of people to get through this bike park. And of course, a lot of them are going for those 150 Ironman slots. Well, this race has been going since back in 1984, when it used to be the shorter distance. Then in 88, they started alternating between the short distance, the half Ironman distance, and the Ironman distance. And back in 88, the Dutchman Axel Koenders, the Flying Dutchman we used to know, he won with Rita Kuytman. Whatever happened to Rita Kuytman? I haven't seen her since then. 89, Jürgen Zach had his first victory here, but it was over the short course. Then from 1990 onwards, or I should say the half Ironman distance, with Simone Mortier, the German. So it was a German double in 89. Then in 1990, they changed it permanently to the full Ironman distance. And, well, this is the bike course. They changed it all a couple of years ago. It used to be, I mentioned earlier, the swim, the Don Rhino Canal. And the bike course used to be 3 laps, but now it's 2 laps, much fairer, especially today with 2,000 athletes on it. You can imagine as the race progresses, and there's quite some distance between the waves, that these guys and girls are going to get tied up as the race progresses. You saw on that graphic, this is our leader, by the way, this is Van Drasch. You can see he's, well, he's not too proficient, is he, at the biking and filling his water bottle. He's got all the gear, I must admit. He's got a good bike, he's got all the tri-bars, he's got that new feed system that Zach, I think he was the first guy to use it a couple of years ago. But this is Thomas Hellriegel, the German soldier. One Ironman Lanzarote with the defending champion Jürgen Zach. That bike course, 3 big hills. One at Zollingstadt, one at Rockershofen, and the final one at the Sololleberg, where we understand there's something like 20,000 people ready for it. It's just like the Tour de France, which we've been watching the last few weeks. And the triathletes are trying to do the same. But there we are, Van Drasch. He's been caught by another German. And I think that's the race over for Van Drasch. He's passed. Thomas Hellriegel says, come on, keep it going, lad. You've done a great swim, but it's all about biking and finally running. And the other German, Jürgen Zach, now has joined Hellriegel. You can see they're having a bit of a chat, and I understand before the race they spoke to each other and said, look, the only way we're going to possibly win this race is if we can build up a huge lead over Welsh, the likes of Lothar Leder, Greg Welsh and Christian Bustos on the bike section. And this is what they're trying to do. Just remember that drafting, taking pace, is not allowed in the sport of, or this discipline of triathlon, certainly in the Ironman distance, so they've got to work together legally. Uta Muckel, she's still out front with the women's race, but it's not long before this woman, Paula Newby-Fraser from Zimbabwe, now resident in California, has been since, what, 1984, takes over in the pole position that she's so used to. She won here back in last year in 94 when 8 hours 50 and 53 seconds. That is the all-time best by any woman. Only 2 women have ever gone under 9 hours. This is Katinka Wiltenberg now coming through. She won this race, as I told you, a couple of years ago, back in 93. Second to Paula Newby-Fraser earlier this year in Lanzarote. And looks like Donna Peters here, one of the best women bikers, but she's certainly struggling a bit at the moment. Certainly this woman made it look very easy indeed. We understand this is Katinka's last year in the sport. She says she's just about had enough. She's done just about everything she possibly can do. So there we are. Those are the 3 major top climbs. The Sellingstrassenberg, the Kalvrenberg, and finally the Sololleberg. And here we are going through one of the beer miles. This is the Ekterschmuller beer miler, should I say. And you can see the support. These people are out in there, hundreds and hundreds, thousands and thousands to support a race which they believe is part of the community down here. This is one of the few races in the sport of triathlon that does get huge support, and I mean huge. They estimate something like 130, 140,000 people out on the race course today to watch, and that is tremendous. You imagine the amount of beer that's drunk. The beer drinking Germans are well, they're pretty proficient at that, aren't they? They're very imbibers of the world, as they say, and I think they're going to get through a bit of the product today. And certainly these athletes are going to have to drink a lot of fluid because it's very hot, and they've got to get the fluids in, they've got to get the food in, because one of the problems of these long distance events is running out of fuel, running out of glycogen, running out of energy. And if they do, in cycling parlance, they bonk. That means they run out of energy, they run out of fuel source for the body, and they've just got to stop. As one thing they have to do, these endurance athletes, is to train their bodies to run on what are called fatty acids and fat products, because normally your body runs on glycogen, the energy source, but it has to, over these long distance events, run on the source of energy, fat, which is not quite so efficient as glycogen. And this is one of the many hills. This is the looks like the Sololleberg, and people are out, you can see, in their droves to watch this. This is akin to the Tour de France. Tremendous stuff. Estimate something like 20,000 people out here doing the Aloha waves that we see in Hawaii, the Mexican wave. Our German producer calls it the Aloha wave for some reason, I don't know why. And he also calls this the emotional center of the triathlon world. Well, I wouldn't argue with him. This really is a tremendous feeling. I went up through here on one of the press bikes, and even my heart rate was up around 200. Can you imagine if me just sat on a bike with a camera with that? These guys, well, their heart must be pumping out the top of their chest. Athletes getting into it. It's great to see. $75,000 up for grabs here for the professionals. That's $12,500. That's at about £8,000 in pounds to the lead man and lead woman. Totally quality in the sport of triathlon. That money is split evenly between the men and the women. So here we are. This is the leader. This is Thomas Hellriegel, and just behind the motorbike, sandwiched in between, the defending champion Jürgen Zach. And what a support these boys are getting. This is tremendous stuff. It really is. Look at those people up there. I've never seen this at all in the sport of triathlon. Seen it in cycling many times, but not triathlon. This is incredible. Stefan Holzner, the man who won New Zealand, the German who started the row this year. He's in third place. He's in, well, he's out on his lonesome, really. The two Germans are up front. He's in third position. In fourth and fifth place, we understand, is Lothar Leder, and in fact, here he is, Lothar Leder and Greg Welsch, and they're being followed closely by Christian Bustos, the man from Chile. But this is Lothar Leder, and I think, like Thomas Hellriegel, this is the new breed of German triathlete. Welsh has got so much adrenaline flowing. Look, he just eased past Lothar Leder. But out front, it's still Jürgen Zach and Thomas Hellriegel. They've been playing cat and mouse. They've been keeping that speed high, and they're gradually pulling away from Leder and Welsh. Leder and Welsh believe that they've got the running strength to run them down at the end, over the final 26.2-mile marathon run, 42 kilometers plus 185 meters. Third position, Stefan Holzner. As I mentioned, he had that great race down in New Zealand earlier this year, the first of the World Series of Ironman events. It's not actually a series this year, but he was he certainly started everything rolling. 8 hours, 51 minutes and 59 he went. That was a tough course. Kenny Glar, the American, was behind him. In the women's division, it was the local Australia or New Zealand girl, Sue Clark, won that one. And of course, we moved on to Australia, where Holger Lawrence carried on for the Germans. 8 hours, 27:34 he went. Peter Kropke was second in that event, and I'm sure he'd like to be second here today. And for the women, it was Wendy Ingram, the first major Ironman win for Ingram. That was a good performance. This is Leder here. And, well, he won strongman in Japan a couple of years ago. He went again this year, but unfortunately was forced to drop out. He struggled a bit towards the closing stages and thought, well, I've got higher priority races this year. Then, of course, we had Lanzarote with Hellriegel and Newby Fraser. Then Japan, Ironman Japan with Mark Allen and Heather Furr. This is Christian Bustos now. He's on a bit of a move. He's catching up Leder and Welsh. And I think if these three can work together, they might well be able to pull some of that deficit of Hellriegel and Zach back. And if they don't, I think the race is over between Zach and Hellriegel. Well, as they go on their merry way, we'll take a break, come back for the rest of Ironman Europe. Welcome back to Ironman Europe. We're coming up to the closing stages of the second discipline, the 112-mile, 180-kilometer bike section. And leading at the moment is the defending champion, Jürgen Zach. He's having a great race. He's looking to make it 2 in a row. 8:01:59 he went here last year. That's 8 hours, 1 minute and 59 seconds. And I can tell you that was the second fastest all time over the Ironman distance. Only Dave Scott, the American rather, has gone better. In fact, Dave is here doing some promotional work, but he went 8:01:11 back in 1989 in Lake Biwa, Japan. Second in is Hellriegel. So we've got the Ironman Germany defending champion, closely followed by the Ironman Lanzarote champion of this year. Total time today is 5 hours, 11 minutes and 39 seconds. That's a 4-hour, 20-minute bike ride for Zach. Third place is Stefan Holzschner. That's a good performance by Holzschner. He's gone 4:33. That's 13 minutes slower than Zach. And, well, we're going to have to wait quite a bit of time for that trio of Bustos, Leder and Welsh to come in. And it's a little surprising. Here they are. This is the trio. And I can tell you there's something like 20 minutes behind the leaders. 20 minutes. That's a staggering amount of time that Zach and Hellriegel has built up. So this is Lothar Leder going through. He's been given a 4 hours, 39 minutes and 6 seconds. He's first through the transition area, but speed is not necessarily of the essence over the Ironman distance. It's getting yourself prepared physically and mentally for this final event. And I can tell you today, it's just like being in Hawaii. The temperature's up 36 degrees, and obviously food intake is going to be of paramount importance. That's Welsh going out. Peter Kropko storming through. I've always thought in the past that Kropko has never done the bike ride correctly. He's never given his all on the bike ride to give him a chance of getting into contention and winning these major events. He was, second this year down in Australia, but he really is the nearly man. But there we are, Zach, look, you can see 48 seconds in front of Hellriegel, but more importantly, 20 minutes in front of the likes of Welsh and Leder. And I think that's too much even for the likes of them. But this is our lead woman. This is Paula Newby Fraser, a 33-year-old from Harare in Zimbabwe, lives in California, recently celebrated her 33rd birthday. In fact, I was there while she celebrated it. It was a great party, and congratulations in order. She's recently become engaged to the other triathlete, Paul Huddle, used to win strongman in Japan. Sue Latchall now has moved into second position. Good performance by Sue. She feels that she's got a shout at beating Paula Newby Fraser today, and I think if she's conserved her energy on this bike section, she is a great runner. Katinka Wiltenberg, she's in third position. And, well, she's used to be down there. She knows that her strength is to come. She's one of the most consistent runners in the women's division of triathlon, certainly over this distance. Donna Peters, she's back in, fourth position. So she's struggling a little bit, and here she comes now. They're all coming back in towards, looks like Uda Mukkel there, back in, fifth position. So she's dropped off considerably, but this woman is still out front. This is still Paula Newby Fraser. She's not going to have the fastest bike split of the day. She's coming in 4 hours, 58 minutes and 55 seconds. And the fastest bike split of the day, well, that's going to go to Katinka Wiltenberg, it looks like. She's going to go 4 hours, 58 and 27. So they're all much of a muchness. Sue Latchall is only going to be a second slower. So Newby Fraser, now she's only 3.5 minutes in front the likes of Latchall, and that is not much of a lead, with 26.2 miles of marathon running to come. And Newbie Fraser over the years has shown that maybe if she's going to be beaten, it's during this marathon section. She tends to tire dramatically during some of her events, but she still is undefeated. That's the bottom line, isn't it? She's the, well, 7 times Newbie Fraser has won the Hawaii Ironman. That's a record, men or women. Only Dave Scott has gone 6. Mark Allen's gone, well, he's gone 5, hasn't he? Looking for 6 this year. But Paula Newbie Fraser has gone an amazing 7 wins there. I don't think that will be big. Well, she might make it 8 this year, who knows? But I think this year promises to be a great race with Karen Smyers now concentrating over the Ironman distance. And Isabelle Mouton, the French woman, going to Hawaii for the first time this year. She could be a major threat. And unfortunately, Sabina Westhoff, who was going to race in the Mountain Man for the Pro Championships over the shorter distance, unfortunately, she was had a very bad road accident, smashed herself up quite badly, broken her jaw, broken her back. So we wish her well and hope that she's repaired, hopefully for Hawaii, because she was there last year and said, this is a learning curve for me. This is something I'd love to be able to cope with and do well over. Well, she did. She finished 8th, I think, as a rookie. But leading at the moment is number 1 and number 11. On the left of the picture, Jürgen Zach, the defending champion and the Ironman Lanzarote holder, the champion there, Thomas Hellriegel. Hellriegel really is showing that he's a force to be reckoned with over this Ironman distance. Bearing in mind, Lanzarote was under, what, just about a month ago, so he's come out now. He raced, what, 8.5 hours there. He's going to do it again now. This is an amazing performance by Hellriegel. I understand that the Germans haven't selected him to go from Stockholm. They said for the European Short Course Championships, because they said he wouldn't be fit, he wouldn't be ready for that event after Lanzarote. But you can see he's still very fit. All right, he's not going the speed that he would have to over the shorter distances, but he's certainly going at a fair old whack at the moment. But it looks as though Zach has made the move. He's got, what, 50 meters over Hellriegel, and is this significant? Hellriegel has shown that he can keep pounding out the miles over the closing stages over the Ironman, although he did suffer a little bit in the last 10K. There's Lothar Leder now moved up into, what, 3rd position. So we've got Germany 1 with Jürgen Zach, Germany 2 with Thomas Hellriegel, Germany 3 with Lothar Leder, and in fact at the moment Stefan Holzner is still in 4th position. Well, this is an incredible performance by these Germans. And I'm not too sure what they've been doing. In fact, I did speak to their coach, Stefan Grosser. He's here cheering them on, and he said the reason they're going so well is that they've been up at altitude at St. Moritz. Lothar Leder there coming up to the first major turn. He should have gone through that timing system, so they know he's gone through. He's gone back and done it on the way back. Well, good for him. We don't let bureaucracy rule under these occasions, so they let the athletes get on with what they're there for. So it looks as though down in, what, 5th, 4th position at the moment. He's gone past Holzner, is Christian Bustos. So this is a fine return by Bustos. I'm glad to see the 28-year-old from Chile. Remember that classic race he had with Mark Allen a couple of years ago in Hawaii when he just faded towards the end. But he is a major threat in marathon terms, because his pure marathon time, he's run around about 2:30, and there aren't many triathletes who can do that. Excuse the quality picture here. We've got a bit of interference from our helicopter. And Welsh, well, Welsh is struggling. And we caught up with him as he drops out and asked him why.
I have an injury that I got 2.5 months ago, and just hasn't gotten any better really. So at about 17 kilometers on the run, it started to pull a little bit more, and I thought it was a better idea if I stopped right now, and so I can get it better for the rest of the year. Otherwise, if I finish the race today, I think I could hurt it really bad. So it was a good decision, but I'm disappointed.
Well, so are we. We would like to see him challenge for this. Bear in mind, he is the defending professional champion with Paula Newbie Fraser. The professional championships over this distance last year were in Hawaii when both Welsh and Newbie Fraser won. So certainly the defending champion is not going to defend his title over this distance this year. And it's up to Zach now, who's built up a substantial lead over his fellow countryman, Thomas Hellriegel. So Jürgen Zach, the 29-year-old, is just outside of Koblenz. Verlander, it really is showing some good form today, and I'm a little surprised actually. I was with him at Parman earlier this year when after the first lap he was forced to drop out. He's got a suspect back on downhills, it jars, and As soon as he gets into so much pain that he can't cope and he has to stop, but he's certainly coping at the moment. This is a tremendous performance by Jürgen Zach. And is it going to be 2 in a row? No one's ever gone, in fact, that's not true. Back in 1990 and 91, Paulie Curie won. And in fact, Paulie Curie went 8:04.54 in 1991, which was a great result for him, great time. And looking through my records, that is still the 4th fastest time of all time over the Ironman distance. Newbie Fraser, she actually was starting to be caught by Sue Latshaw and Katinka Wiltenberg, but Sue Latshaw went out too fast, too early. So she's been caught by Katinka Wiltenberg, and Latshaw is now down in 3rd position. So this is Latshaw in 3rd, coming up to the turn at about, 14 kilometers, 15 kilometers into the final 42-kilometer run course. Lives up in Boulder, Colorado with her husband. That's the 34-year-old Sue Latshaw. And the tens of thousands of people in the finish area are waiting for their man, their champion, the professional champion of 1995 over the Ironman distance is the German. The 29-year-old Jürgen Zach, the defending champion here at Roth, is going to do it again. And his time, well, that's not going to be a bad time at all. He's going to be under the conditions, bearing in mind the air temperature is 35, 36 degrees, 8 hours, 8 minutes and 7 seconds. That actually puts him in the 8th all-time fastest over the Ironman distance. Well, he's now got, two of the fastest all-time top 10 times over this Ironman distance. That is incredible. Let's put that in perspective. 51 minutes 11 seconds for the swim, 4 hours 20 minutes and 28 seconds for the bike, and 2 hours 56 minutes and 28 seconds for the run. 8 hours 8 minutes and 7 seconds. And in 2nd position, a great race by the soldier Thomas Hellriegel. He held on to 2nd place. He's only 2 minutes adrift, 8 hours 10 minutes and 9 seconds, and you can see he's given his all. Great performance by Hellriegel. Germany 1, Germany 2, and Germany in the form of Lothar Leder 3rd. Well, this is incredible performance by the Germans. 8 hours, 23 minutes and 44 seconds for Lothar Leder, the 24-year-old from Darmstadt. Well, he actually lives in Worms, and I think he's happy, don't you? Look at that. What a performance by Lothar Leder. And in 4th position, he couldn't quite do it. He's had to run his heart out. He's most probably got the fastest marathon time. He has at 2 hours, 55 minutes and 59 seconds. The Hungarian, Peter Kropko, 8 hours, 29 minutes and 36 seconds for Peter Kropko. And another German, Joachim Bastin, finishes 5th. Well, that's 4 Germans in the top 5. This is Matthias Klump coming in, yet another German in 6th place. Becoming boring, isn't it? All these Germans coming with a bitching, but good luck to them. They really are a force to be reckoned with in the sport at the distance of Ironman. And isn't Klump happy? Well, he should be. That's his best ever performance. Well, as you take in those Ironman results, we'll go for our final break. Welcome back to Ironman Europe. We've just seen Jürgen Zach, the new professional champion over the Ironman distance, win this event for the 2nd consecutive year. And this is the lead woman, Paula Newby-Fraser. And, well, I think she'd like to jump in there. She's certainly overheated. She's struggling. Now, this might be a major factor for her. Obviously, her body temperature's gone right up. But just to remind you, it is 36 degrees. And this girl is desperate. Desperate for fluids, desperate to cool her body down. This is amazing. There we are. She said, thank you very much. 2nd place, closing quickly, is the Dutch girl, Katinka Wiltenberg. Tremendous performance by Wiltenberg, this. And, well, is she going to win this race for the 2nd time? She won it back in 93. Paula didn't race that year. In 92, Paula won, as she did last year in 94. And, of course, she had that great victory over the Ironman. So, can Wiltenberg catch this girl? Third position is Sue Latshaw. And I suppose the 4th position is Donna Peters here, the woman from Seattle, Washington. not fared too well in the past over the distance. Down in 5th position is Ute Mukkel, that swim leader. And once again, she's faded, but a 5th position for Ute Mukkel with this quality of field will be very good. Juliana Nievergelt is in 6th position. So Juliana was training specifically, I know, up in Boston with Karen Smars, specifically for this event, and she's not quite done it, but someone who has is Paula Newby-Fraser, the 33-year-old birthday girl from Zimbabwe, from Harare, lives in California. She is going to defend her professional title that she won in Hawaii last year. She's the only one of 2 women ever to get under 9 hours for the Ironman distance. She hasn't done it today. She's gone 9 hours, 6 minutes and 34 seconds. Second place is Katinka Wiltenberg, 9 hours, 15 minutes and 15 seconds. That's a good performance by Wiltenberg. Didn't quite do it though, which is a shame. Would have been nice to see a new winner. But in 3rd position, Sue Latshaw, the American. She's just about 9.5 hours. So she really did suffer on that run. She got right up there within a minute or so of Fraser at one time and had to fade, couldn't keep the pace up, but I think she'll be pretty pleased with 3rd position overall. Not a bad payday for 3rd. It's $5,500, $5,200. 5th position is Ute Mukkel. Just to remind you, Fraser has picked up $12,500 for winning this particular event. $2,900 for Mukkel for finishing in 5th position. So that's Fraser, Wiltenberg, Latshaw, Donna Peters was 4th, and Ute Mukkel now finishes in 5th. So she's the best German, but well, that can't compare with what the Germans did in the men's division. 1, 2, 3 and 5th, 7 in the top 10 for the Germans. So there we are, just to let you soak up those times. She won by 8 minutes and 41 seconds in the end. So although she did suffer, she got her act together and came through. This is Jürgen Zach, the men's winner, and he tells us about his day's work. He said he thought he could have finished in a good time, better than he did, but as it's his birthday, 8 and 8, he was looking to finish in 2 hours, 8 minutes and 8 seconds. I don't know which part he was hoping to finish in that time, but that's what he tells us. And Zach, he said, well, he talks about Hawaii, and he said, although Roth is a very competitive event, today's success doesn't mean that necessarily the Germans are going to do well in Hawaii. For him, if he places top 3 in Hawaii, he'll be pleased. And Christian Bustos, a great reception for Bustos, coming home in 9th position. We caught up with Hal Riegel, the man who was 2nd, the Ironman Lanzarote champion, and he says congratulations to Jürgen Zach, who had a fantastic race, and he explains why at 16 kilometers of the marathon he let Jürgen get away with a little short sprint. He said, but he thought he was strong enough still to come back, but he said this wasn't the case. I made a mistake and I couldn't catch Jürgen again, and he really did have some problems in the heat. There's Jochen Basten, who finished, what, 5th? And one thing, or one reason they all recover very quickly from these endurance events is the after-race treatment.
Today, the run was very difficult mentally because it was very hot and everybody wanted to run fast marathons, but it was not possible. If you ran too fast in the beginning, there was no question you would die at the end, and it seemed like it was never going to end. And for me, the first half of the marathon, the girls were coming so close. So this was a pressure for me the whole time until with maybe 5-6K to go, I felt, okay, I have won.
Well, she certainly did win. This is Katinka Wiltenberg, who finished 2nd, and she says, well, it seems as though Paula is just too tough to beat at the moment. She said she's closer to her now than she was in Lanzarote, and she's still dreaming that she can catch her. Well, the pros are finished, but the many age groupers, well, a lot of them haven't even finished their bike section yet. So just to reiterate, put this race into perspective. They start off with a 2.4 mile swim, that's 3.8 kilometers. Then they jump on the bike for 112 miles, 180 kilometers. And for some of them, they're on the bike for 8 hours. Then when that's all done, they've got to run a full marathon. Well, running a marathon by itself is tough enough, but you imagine having to run it after you've swum and biked that distance. The winners, well, they're just over 8 hours, and for the slowest, they'll still be here at midnight. They go on and on and on here at Roth. But of course, their dream is that slot for the Hawaii Ironman. It's pretty lonely out there as the evening draws on. It's just a matter of survival. He's still smiling, but I'm sure he wishes he was still running. You can see the others have got the old short shoe shuffle. And no, this isn't a walking race. This is the Ironman triathlon, and many competitors are reduced to this. They've given their all on the swim. They've given their all on the bike. And this competitor tells us that it's one of the problems is the sun was shining all day and it got very hot. I don't think he actually should be racing with the headset. I don't know what it's telling him to do, but he's certainly got a nice rhythm going. They call that outside assistance. Nice shorts as well. So people stay well into the night to watch them. Best British performance, well, that was by Dr. Julian Jenkinson. He finished 11th in 8 hours, 48 minutes and 31 seconds. That's a good performance by Jenkinson. Did a 56-minute swim, 4-hour 46 bike, and then a 3-hour 5-minute run. So he's got his slot to Hawaii, so we'll see him out there later in the year, and the finishers just keep coming in and in. This is actually the second largest of all triathlons. There's only one triathlon bigger, which is the Mrs. T Chicago race, another race on the Pro Tour. So the Pro Tour from here, well, it goes to Toronto at the end of the month, end of July, and then it goes on to that Chicago race in towards the end of August. Back into Europe then for the Bupa Bath International in England. Then after that we go to Fiji, San Padre Island in Texas, then the Hawaii Ironman, and to finish we go to Thailand into Phuket. And although Greg Welch dropped out today, he still heads the pro rankings. He's on 300 points with Alek Rukasev, the Russian, and Britain's Simon Lessing joint second on 230 points. Karen Smyers, she still heads the women's rankings. She's on 375 points with Makili Jones on 350. Paula Newby-Fraser, well, she's certainly going to move up the rankings. She makes up into the top 10. Juliana Nieverkoop moves up a few slots today. I think she goes up into 4th position. But these are our winners. Dave Scott, the all-time best over the triathlon Ironman distance, 8:01, just in a few seconds, back in 89 in Lake Biwa. And what they're waiting for now is the last finisher, and when he crosses the line, they have, as is the tradition of all Ironman events, and this is him, this is the last finisher, they have a great firework display. As the party goes on all night, and you wouldn't think these athletes could party after such a long day. Well, there we have it, the 1995 Ironman Europe, the professional championships over the Ironman distance. For the men, it was Jürgen Zach, the German. His time, 8 hours, 8 minutes and 7 seconds. And for the women, it was Paula Newby-Fraser, 9 hours, 6 minutes and 34 seconds. Well, I hope you enjoyed our coverage of the Quella Ironman Europe. This is Ian Sweet wishing you well. Hope to be with you next time for the triathlon.